The man who said yes. The biting Himalayan wind whipped around Kamal as he descended the monastery steps, the silence of his retreat still echoing in his ears. He felt a newfound calmness, a strength he hadn't possessed before. Yet, a subtle unease lingered, a question mark etched onto the quiet canvas of his mind. Something felt incomplete. He turned back, seeking the wizened face of the monastery's teacher. "Master," Kamal began, his voice a little rusty from disuse. "I feel transformed, but there's a void, a missing piece. May I speak with one of the monks before I depart?" The teacher, his eyes crinkling at the corners, nodded. "Choose wisely, Kamal. The right words can illuminate the path." Drawn by an unseen force, Kamal approached an elderly monk, tending the monastery garden. The monk's movements were deliberate, almost meditative, as he coaxed life from the barren soil. After a respectful silence, Kamal finally voiced his question. "How do you find peace amidst the chaos of the world?" The monk paused, a gentle smile gracing his lips. He looked at Kamal, his gaze penetrating yet kind. "I say yes," he replied, his voice a low rumble. "To everything that happens, I say yes." The simplicity of the answer struck Kamal as both profound and perplexing. He pondered the words during his long journey home. The bustling city, once a source of anxiety, now seemed to flow around him. He observed the ebb and flow of life, the constant change, and the resistance he'd always felt towards it. He realized the monk's wisdom wasn't about passive acceptance, but about surrendering to the present moment. Back in his familiar surroundings, Kamal began to practice the art of saying yes. When a sudden downpour threatened to ruin his outdoor plans, he didn't curse the heavens. He said yes to the rain, embracing the change of pace and the earthy scent it brought. When a business deal fell through, he didn't succumb to despair. He said yes to the setback, viewing it as an opportunity to learn and redirect his efforts. He even said yes to the lingering sting of a past heartbreak, acknowledging the pain without letting it define him. Kamal's transformation wasn't immediate, but it was profound. He discovered that saying yes wasn't about giving up. It was about letting go of the illusion of control. It was about embracing the present moment, with all its joys and sorrows, and trusting the flow of life. It wasn't about suppressing negative emotions, but about acknowledging them without judgment, allowing them to pass like clouds in the sky. In an interview years later, Kamal shared his interpretation of the monk's advice. "Most of our suffering comes from resistance to what is. Life is. And when we resist what life is, we suffer. When you can say yes to life, surrender to the current, and ask, 'Okay, what should I be now?' That's where true power comes from." He paused, a knowing smile spreading across his face. Saying yes isn't about becoming a doormat. It's about recognizing that fighting the current only exhausts us. It's about choosing acceptance, finding peace in the present, and allowing life to unfold as it should, not as we demand it to be. He added, "Sometimes, saying yes means setting boundaries, saying yes to protecting your own well-being. It's about aligning yourself with the wisdom of the universe, not against it."
Ever feel like you're just, I don't know, just like banging your head against a wall, like you're swimming against the current and getting nowhere?
Oh, tell me about it.
Well, today we are diving deep into a story called The Man Who Said Yes. And it really got me thinking about how we can navigate those currents a little more smoothly.
Yeah, saying yes can be pretty powerful, right?
Totally. So, for anyone just tuning in, The Man Who Said Yes. What's the deal? Give us the lowdown.
Okay, so we've got Kamal. He's our main man, and he is on a mission, like a lot of us, to find some peace.
Right, that elusive inner peace.
Exactly. So he does what any sane person would do and heads off on a crazy, intense mountain retreat.
Sounds peaceful already.
Right. But here's the thing. He finds some tranquility up there, but something's still missing.
Okay, like a piece of the peace puzzle is missing.
Yeah, like he realizes that peace isn't just about quiet. It's got to be something more, you know?
Okay, I'm hooked. So what happens next?
He goes back down the mountain, back to the real world, and ends up chatting with this wise old monk who's tending a garden.
Of course, a monk in a garden. It's always a monk in a garden.
Right. So Kamal spills his guts to this monk, tells him about his search for peace and how he's still feeling incomplete, And the monk's advice, he says, I say yes.
I say yes, just like that.
Just like that. Simple, right?
I mean, I'd probably be a little annoyed. Like, come on, man, I climbed a mountain for this.
Yeah, I hear you. But here's the thing, this yes that the monk is talking about, it's not about just blindly saying yes to everything. There's more to it.
Okay, so unpack that yes for us.
Yeah.
What does it actually mean in the context of this story?
It's about accepting what is, like really accepting it. Kamal starts practicing this yes in his everyday life. Rain messes up his plans. He says yes to the rain.
Instead of cursing the heavens.
Exactly. A business deal falls apart. He says yes to the failure.
That's a tough one.
Tell me about it. Even when it comes to old heartbreaks, he learns to say yes to the pain.
So it's about acknowledging those feelings, not suppressing them.
Absolutely, because fighting reality, that's where we get into trouble. There's a line in the story that I love. Kamal says, most of our suffering comes from resistance to what is, life is. And when we resist what life is, we suffer.
Wow. So much truth in that, right?
Right. Life is going to happen. Things are going to go wrong. It's inevitable. But it's how we respond to those inevitable ups and downs that really determines our experience.
I love that. So it's not about being passive. It's about accepting and then asking, okay, now what?
Exactly. It's that shift in perspective. That's where we find real peace and even, dare I say, power.
I love how Kamal puts it. He says something like, when you can say yes to life, surrender to the current and ask, okay, what should I be now? That's where true power comes from.
Right. And sometimes saying yes to yourself, saying yes to your well-being means setting boundaries. It can mean saying no to something else.
There it is. I was just going to say, it can't just be about being a pushover.
No, absolutely not. It's about knowing yourself, knowing what truly matters to you, and aligning your actions with that, even when it's hard. I think it's a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest strength comes from surrender. Not giving up, but surrendering to the present moment, accepting it for what it is, and then choosing how we want to move forward.
Surrender to the flow. Such a great point to end on. Now, for our listeners, what would you say yes to today that you might have resisted before? Something to think about. Until next time,